This is USVI News, your Virgin Islands connection.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for USVI News. I'm Emily Matson. Governor Albert Bryan Jr. attends the Blue Tide Caribbean Summit in Puerto Rico, meeting with Governor Pedro Pierro Luisi. Governor Bryan shared his vision and the administration's efforts to develop and grow the blue economy in the USVI during the first Blue Tide Caribbean Summit in Puerto Rico on Thursday. During the summit, the two governors spoke about partnership opportunities and shared strategies on how Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands can lead eco-responsible business innovations in the region. The governors also talked about export services, technology products, and knowledge in blue economy solutions that could translate into millions annually for the islands. Bryan was a speaker during the summit and said there's an opportunity now to diversify our economy, to take full advantage of what our marine ecosystem has to offer. Governor Bryan pointed to the increase in vessels registered here in the territory during the pandemic as one indicator of the tremendous economic potential which exists in the marine industry. Governor Bryan also noted a number of capital improvement projects to support the territory's growing blue economy, including improvements to the fishing dock in Hull Bay on St. Thomas, as well as improvements to the Ann Abramson, Kings Alley, and Gallows Bay piers on St. Croix. Thursday's summit comes less than a week after the governor joined a delegation of Virgin Islands senators for a series of meetings in Florida aimed at expanding the transportation and distribution industry here in the VI. Puerto Rico is betting on the blue economy to accelerate its economic recovery after the recession caused by hurricanes and earthquakes. Same here in the VI. USVI News' Christian Ramos was at that Blue Tide Caribbean Summit and brings us the full report.
Puerto Rico is trying to speed up the development of the blue economy on the island. Experts on this topic reunited at the Blue Tide Caribbean Summit, and this is what they said.
All within a healthy ocean ecosystem.
For the last 60 years, Puerto Rico was focused on the traditional manufacturing activities, pharma, medical device, among others. Currently, we have a strong sector working in Puerto Rico. But look in the future, the question is that those operations are sustainable. So the blue economy brings to the table alternative for the future, not only from the perspective of energy or from the perspective of conservation, it's from the perspective of new products, new technologies, and obviously at the same time, as the governor of USVI said, taking care and management the things in the right way.
Secondly, I would also like to welcome
roads. There are multiple initiatives underway which are related to the blue economy. Among others, for example, the development of a microgrid, setting up also a scientific center using federal funds. It's called MBRIC, and this is MBRIC is being created with a $16 million grant that the EDA gave to the Redevelopment Authority at Roosevelt Roads.
The blue economy, which comprises all economic activities related to ocean, seas, and coast, can also help to accelerate the recovery of the Caribbean islands.
Yes, it is an economic recovery, it's an economic diversification strategy, and it's an economic transformation to adapt not decades of wrongdoing and see how we can do it better, but how can we transform and adapt to the increasing opportunities, create resilience from disasters, and create economic resilience through diversification of what for the island is so obvious. We're surrounded by water.
It's important to start educating all the sectors toward this, because at the end it's the only thing we have. The only thing we will have is the ocean. It's our partner, it's our silent partner that work 7 days of the week. So that's the right partner that we need, and we have a lot of resources and a big chunk of money that are coming from the economy, blue economy, that we can capitalize in Puerto Rico and the region as well.
It is estimated that the blue economy can have an economic impact of over $80 million. Reporting from Fajardo, Puerto Rico, Christian Ramos.
Now to the latest on COVID-19 in the territory. It appears as if the Delta variant continues to fuel an increase in COVID-19 cases here in the Virgin Islands. We're seeing a significant spike right now with 318 people currently testing positive for coronavirus throughout the territory. There are 101 active cases in St. Croix, a whopping 204 in St. Thomas, and 13 cases in St. John. Most of these cases are among unvaccinated individuals. And according to the VI Department of Health, all of the 19 hospitalizations currently in St. Croix are among unvaccinated patients. 18 months into the pandemic and with effective vaccines readily available here in the territory and across the nation, many experts thought we would be in a better place right now nationwide. Instead, numbers are once again trending in the wrong direction. Some warning this winter time could bring more trouble. Reporter Carrie Sanders reports from Florida, where the state is reporting more than 20,000 new COVID cases in one day.
The highly contagious Delta variant is leaving much of the country battling a late summer spike. New cases and hospitalizations are exploding across the South.
If Florida and Louisiana were countries and not states, they would be number 1 and 2 in the world for the incidence of COVID.
The strength of the Delta variant surprising even Moderna President Dr. Stephen Hoge.
We believe the best way to get safely through the winter is going to be with a booster dose.
The CDC director warning of Delta's spread.
Our vaccines are working exceptionally well. They continue to work well for Delta, but what they can't do anymore is prevent transmission.
Some major companies, Amazon, Wells Fargo, and Microsoft, now delaying their plans for corporate employees to return to the office amid concerns over Delta. The Surgeon General and vaccine makers are hopeful that shots for those under 12 could be approved in the coming months, but not before kids return to the classroom.
There is no question we're going to see outbreaks in schools with this Delta variant. The question is how many and how big will they get?
In Florida, Republican Governor Ron DeSantis continues to defy CDC guidance for masking indoors. One school superintendent here is pleading with the governor for a mask mandate, writing in part, in the last 10 days alone, before school has even opened, 4 school-aged children in Leon County have been admitted to local hospitals. The issue has set off conflict between parents, officials, and other parents in multiple states, with anti-mask protesters taking over some school board meetings. All across the South, alarming outbreaks are wreaking havoc. In Mississippi, there are only 6 open ICU beds in the entire state. In Louisiana, 50 hospitals say they cannot care for all the patients coming in. In Austin, Texas, doctors are calling it the 4th wave. Officials are noting that vaccination rates in many areas are going up as fears of the variant grow, pleading with the public to protect themselves and others before it's too late.
Most people know someone who's sick right now. How do you help families get that lesson without having to live through it themselves?
The CDC says the Delta variant may be causing more severe disease than the previous strain, but they are still looking into that. But there is some good news. Some of those hard-hit southern states are now vaccinating people at a rate not seen since April, and other states that had been lagging on vaccinations are now picking up the pace as well. The U.S. Coast Guard on Thursday offloaded a massive record-setting haul of cocaine and pot in Port Everglades, Florida. Altogether, the drugs are valued at upwards of $1.4 billion, the largest offload in the history of the Coast Guard. It included roughly 59,700 pounds of cocaine and about 1,430 pounds of marijuana. The drugs were seized in multiple interdictions in the Eastern Pacific and the Caribbean Sea. The commander of the Coast Guard cutter, James, said in the last 3 months, authorities have seized twice the amount of drugs at sea as they did in the fall of 2020.